Returning to the freezing wilderness, he prepares to face another punishing survival challenge. Determined to survive without a tent, he hikes deep into the snowy forest. Finding a massive boulder, he immediately starts clearing the heavy snow away. He hauls large logs to the rock's base to build a warming fire. Chopping at the frozen earth, he prepares the ground for his makeshift camp. He meticulously stacks heavy stones to create a protective fire reflector wall. With the foundation set, he ventures deeper into the woods for more supplies. He scouts the desolate landscape, searching for any dry wood he can harvest. Spotting another potential shelter, he inspects the surrounding snowy terrain for resources. Getting back to work, he wrestles huge chunks of snow away from his spot. Every block of ice removed brings him closer to a dry sleeping area. He tests his thin sleeping pad against the rock, hoping it provides comfort. He quickly pulls out his folding saw to break down a small branch. Dragging a massive dead limb back, he knows he needs a huge stockpile. He aggressively saws through the thick timber to feed the upcoming fire. Gathering some birch bark, he prepares the perfect tinder for a quick spark. Using his ferro rod, he strikes the bark until a warm flame erupts. He gently feeds small twigs into the fire to help it catch properly. Sitting by the growing flames, he explains his strategy to survive the night. He points to the boulder, hoping the stone will absorb and reflect heat. Taking a quick break, he hikes up a small ridge to survey the area. He speaks to the camera, emphasizing the severe mental toll of isolation. He pauses to share a message about mental health and finding the right support. A quick animation shows how easy it is to match with a therapist. He continues explaining how helpful this service has been for his own well-being. Returning to the campfire, he emphasizes the importance of taking care of your mind. The roaring flames serve as a reminder of his own harsh reality tonight. He wraps up the sponsor segment, ready to face the freezing temperatures again. Checking the giant boulder, he realizes it isn't absorbing heat as he planned. The heat is just escaping into the cold air instead of warming the stone. Disappointed, he knows he needs to change his shelter strategy immediately. He begins pulling smaller, flat rocks from the frozen ground to build a wall. Placing them near the coals, he hopes these will act as better heat reflectors. To sustain the massive blaze, he wrestles a tall dead sapling to the ground. He furiously saws through the fallen tree, desperate to build a huge coal bed. He explains his new plan to rely on a massive fire rather than the rock. The isolation starts getting to him, bringing out a strange burst of silly energy. He jokes around with the camera to keep his own spirits high in the cold. Feeling hungry, he rips open a military combat ration for a late lunch. He pulls out the beef goulash pouch, hoping for something warm and filling. Using his water bottle, he carefully activates the chemical heater to warm the meal. He examines the dry, hard crackers that come with his rugged field lunch. Disgusted by the stale bread, he realizes this meal won't be very comforting. He forces himself to eat, knowing he needs every calorie to survive the night. He climbs up the boulder to shovel away snow so it doesn't melt on him. Staring into the darkening woods, he senses the temperature beginning to plummet rapidly. He marches back into the forest with his axe, determined to secure more fuel. He inspects a freshly cut stump, analyzing the wood's moisture content for burning. Disaster strikes when he realizes his folding saw has completely snapped in half. Without a saw, he's forced to drag entire fallen trees back to the camp. He hoists a heavy log onto his shoulder, burning precious energy in the cold. His mind suddenly flashes back to a bizarre hallucination of chugging pickle juice. He remembers vividly drinking the sour brine while lying on his kitchen floor. Sitting back by the fire, he regrets punishing himself with these extreme challenges. The delirious flashback leaves him questioning his sanity in the freezing wilderness. Snapping back to reality, he finally opens his heated pouch of beef goulash. He eats the military meal, grateful for the warmth it provides his shivering body. With dinner finished, he continues dragging heavy timber to build his woodpile. He tosses the logs onto the snow, preparing for a long, sleepless night. The roaring fire is now his only defense against the rapidly approaching freeze. He wanders through the barren trees, looking for any leftover dry branches. He wrestles a snagged branch down, adding it to his growing collection. Carrying an armful of kindling, he steadily builds his reserve for the night. He glares at his broken saw blade, frustrated by the major equipment failure. Forced to improvise, he uses his axe to violently chop a log in half. He relentlessly swings at a dead standing tree to harvest its dry hardwood. He praises the axe, realizing it's now his most important tool for survival. He gestures dramatically to the massive stockpile he's managed to build by hand. The sky above turns a chilling gray, signaling the arrival of the deep freeze. He explains his strategy of using softwood for flames and hardwood for lasting coals. He nervously eyes the darkening forest, knowing the hardest part is yet to come. Breaking through the ice of a puddle, he scoops up water into his pan. He sets the covered pot over the hot coals to boil his drinking water. He points to the neatly organized piles of wood ready to burn tonight. Exhausted, he slowly walks through the snowy camp to finish his final preparations. He lifts a heavy stone, painstakingly building his heat-reflecting wall higher. He sets the rock in place, wiped out from the intense physical labor. He tests lying on his thin mat next to the fire and the cold boulder. He holds up his thermometer, confirming the temperature has dropped well below freezing. Using a stick, he carefully adjusts the burning coals to maximize the heat output. He aggressively scrapes the ground, frustrated by the unyielding cold creeping in. Desperate, he uses a heavy rock to smash a thick branch into burnable pieces. Another thermometer check shows the temperature continuing its brutal downward spiral. His face covered in soot and sweat, he stares blankly into the cold night. Now completely dark, he sits by the fire inspecting a flimsy fillet knife. He holds up a frozen pouch of pierogies, hoping for a warm meal tonight. Facing the harsh winter night, he finally settles by his only source of warmth. Tucked under a rocky overhang, he relies on a simple wool blanket to survive. The blazing campfire bravely fights back the freezing darkness as dawn slowly approaches. Morning light reveals the frozen landscape just as he stretches out from his shelter. Having survived the bitter cold, he immediately begins heating a pan over the flames. Eager to check his survival metrics, he glances down at his smartwatch. Securing nearly 6 hours of sleep is a massive victory in these brutal conditions. Feeling surprisingly energized, he reaches into his pack to prepare a well-deserved breakfast. He treats himself to a luxurious outdoor meal of wild smoked sockeye salmon. Adding fresh lemon and capers, he carefully constructs the ultimate wilderness morning feast. Every bite of the savory sandwich and warm coffee feels like an absolute triumph. He realizes the heavy wool blanket perfectly shielded him from the intense fire heat. With plenty of leftover wood remaining, he confidently begins packing his red backpack. This grueling experiment proves that proper shelter design can beat the harshest winter cold. With the mission accomplished, he safely dismantles the rocky fire pit before heading home. But then, the scene bizarrely shifts to him completely drenched, clutching a pickle jar.
And I'll be sleeping on the ground, and I still don't have a shelter, so still gonna be a challenge.
So I found an awesome freshwater stream right beside camp. The parasite Giardia. Giardia will mess up your gut, but consequences when I get back to society. But in this case, because I have things.
They're going.
In these densely packed alder forests, make room for others to survive. Oh wow! As I was, getting here, but I figured this would come in handy for.
Couldn't lie to you guys. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Way out, and I see something across the bay that I'm gonna go check out, but first, salty, but a nice little snack to fill my belly. Bears in this area, though I also hear they're relatively harmless. Wait for another day. I'm pooched, the sun's setting. I'm gonna pack her in. I gotta explore this area because it's unique. Well, but I'm gonna head to sleep. I'm gonna use that. But till then, it's way too cold to just endure. There's a little bit of moss beneath me, but it's still lumpy challenges, so no complaints. Coffee. There's a ton of shellfish in the area. Red tide creates this PSP, paralytic. Yeah, the red tides cause these shellfish to have a concentration of. Oh wow! Whoa! Oh, break. To make this bow drill set because everything around here just has but the inside of this wood is bone dry. The cedar tree scraped off. This is nice and dry, and it's gonna make my tinder bundle. I'm just gonna take that little bit of sap that I found earlier. Oh, look at that. Check out this area once the tides go down. It's much faster to just cut through. Out. First meal of many. Wow, I'm already feeling the life come. Quick nap. It's already like 2:30, which is, and then I'm gonna explore a little bit more. There's something I want to show you. Coffee, and it's time to go take a number 2 in the woods. So I'm gonna show you guys 6-inch hole using a stick. Squat over top. There, a little kinky. And you go back to front. And if the moss is wet, it's time to get out and do a little bit of exploring. The tide's high. Solution here. There's an old forestry road here. Roads, they meander, they go off in odd directions. Lumberyard around here, and I think they decommissioned. Obviously it looks a little different than the cedar forest in which we're posted. No way.
What?
I said, how can I help you?
Just yeah.
King of England for some tea. Oh, yeah. Delicious. On trail. And it's also dinner. On this, so I'm gonna flip this upside down. I was hoping for crabs and all I got was snail. Snails are done. Time, and tonight we're having escargot and put it on the snail, escargot and chanterelle. Great day today. I'm actually way more fed than I thought I'd. The calories that I need to be eating. So, gotta bow drill that thing back up, but we'll... Hi there, little darling. Oh, yes, I would like one coffee, please. And how? Oh, of course. Ah, I feel like I just lucked out, but my luck might be ending. My shelter's bomb-proof because when stuff gets wet around here. I'm gonna go explore a little bit, see if I can forge something. Cool. All this looks delicious. These ones are definitely too old to eat. It's better tasting. Honestly, I'm only gonna take as much as I think I can eat. Taking a little. Texture is like chicken. I don't think it tastes like chicken. I have no idea, but who knows? In all honesty, it's probably not the best idea eating much calories to be gained from there, and there's a lot of eating strange things from the wilderness. And eating the same foods, traversing these woods, and marvin. They'd build these big canoes and paddle around, trading with other tribes and see some of the ruins. Very cool. Wish I knew more about. I've never cooked chicken of the woods before, but pretty sure the rest on stick. What were they thinking? Pretty good. Fairly chewy. It's nice. With some seasoning, I don't want to go back there. So it seems like the bear dipped off into the wood I saw. See if there's anything of use to me there. Problem is, it's kind of getting away. Yes. Look at all the tons of salmon here. I don't have fishing line. I don't have lures on me. The menu, we just got to catch one. That's a day 4 activity. The salmon. Well, tide's out, but I am not feeling snaily today. I'm gonna wait for the bears to leave and the tide to come up a bit. Oh, it's terrible. I don't really have many options right now. The shellfish. Try again. I'm gonna hang it up here to see if the black bear tries. Black bear's right there, but it looks like it could be all right. Over here. Okay. Turn look like this is his territory, not mine. So McElroy, he is an amazing survival instructor, stand-up guy, and I plan to take some more in the future. So if you guys are interested in little kitten-sized bear, it's called an artisan conch. So heading out tomorrow, first thing. This is a cool tree. It means my body's eating its fats faster. The day 2 hunger pain, more stoked for, is a juicy, mark my words. So.
Our journey begins in the remote Tanzanian wilderness with the resilient Hadza tribe. These nomadic hunter-gatherers still survive exactly as our ancient ancestors once did. To truly understand their primal lifestyle, I decided to fully immerse myself here. Arriving at their secluded savanna camp feels like stepping into a forgotten era. The entire tribe warmly welcomes me into their incredibly raw and unfiltered world. While the men gather, women expertly manage the daily chores of the settlement. They are already busy butchering a wild pig caught during last night's expedition. This precious meat is mixed with traded cornmeal to sustain the whole community. Resting beneath towering baobab trees, my guides prepare me for the coming challenges. Every scrap of gathered food is carefully hung to dry and preserve it. Meanwhile, fresh pieces of meat are quickly roasted over an open campfire. Young boys learn early by handling traditional bows made from local animal parts. Each wooden arrowhead is meticulously carved for targeting specific types of wild prey. They also utilize fiercely barbed metal points to take down much larger game. For massive animals like elephants, they coat their weapons in lethal plant poison. Fueling up on the freshly roasted meat provides crucial energy for the hunt. But surviving extreme environments requires more than just peak physical endurance and strength. Facing deep psychological hurdles during tough expeditions often demands professional mental health support. Finding the right guidance can easily transform grueling struggles into manageable daily progress. Modern online tools make it incredibly simple to connect with a qualified therapist. Just like a hunting tribe, everyone needs a reliable support system to thrive. With my mind clearly focused, I am ready to face the untamed wilderness. The hunters quickly ignite a smoking branch to pacify an aggressive bee colony. A fearless boy bravely reaches deep into the dark, swarming tree trunk crevice. Despite enduring painful stings, the sweet, golden reward makes this dangerous climb worthwhile. This nutrient-dense honeycomb provides a massive energy boost for the relentless foraging team. We eagerly devour the raw honey while braving the furious remaining insect swarm. One boy even brushes off a severely swollen lip from a direct sting. Pushing through thorny bushes, our trackers suddenly spot incredibly fresh wild pig tracks. Along the way, they casually pick off tiny birds to supplement their diets. Their archery precision is uncanny, hitting moving targets hidden high in the canopy. To stay hydrated on the move, they forage for moisture-packed wild bitter cucumbers. During a brief afternoon rest, the energetic boys play a spirited ball game. This tightly bound fabric toy showcases their ability to craft simple, durable fun. As evening rapidly approaches, the men relax by sharing traded tobacco around fires. Their simple grass huts foster a deeply connected and resilient nomadic family unit. Strips of vital meat are left to dry overnight to ensure future survival. We contribute to the feast by roasting a lamb traded from Maasai neighbors. The visiting Maasai happily share this hearty meal, bridging to completely different cultures. Tonight, I will attempt to sleep directly on the ground like my hosts. Resting beside the fading campfire brings a profound connection to this harsh land. Without modern comforts, sleeping exposed under the massive African sky feels incredibly raw. Before the sun even crests the horizon, the sleeping camp slowly begins stirring. Waking up surrounded by dogs reveals exactly how tough these resilient people are. We quickly fuel up with hot coffee to prepare for an intense morning. The men meticulously select their deadliest arrowheads, anticipating a challenging big game pursuit. Plunging deep into the dense brush, our senses are heightened to every sound. The eager dogs catch a scent, leading us straight toward thorny pig beds. Our thrilling chase rapidly escalates into a frantic sprint through an unforgiving maze. Despite our exhausting pace, the elusive prey slips further into the thick vegetation. The immense physical toll pushes my untested modern endurance to its absolute limits. They use sharp whistles to coordinate their rapid movements across the confusing terrain. After miles of relentless pursuit, the exhausting heat finally begins slowing us down. Losing the fresh trail forces the frustrated group to completely halt their advance. The highly trained hunting dogs desperately search the underbrush for any lingering scents. Completely empty-handed and exhausted, we must accept the bitter reality of this failure. Yet, a remarkably sharp-eyed boy manages to extract a tiny fledgling from bark. They also proudly carry back a small cat, proving that every calorie counts. Back at camp, we completely collapse under a giant baobab to escape heat. This land offers absolutely nothing for free, requiring constant effort from every member. Our rest is abruptly interrupted as a massive rainstorm forces us into huts. The sudden deluge leaves the laughing kids and shivering dogs huddled under tarps. Finding a rare silver lining, they happily use the pooling rainwater for washing. The raging storm quickly transforms our arid campsite into a slippery, treacherous swamp. As the tempest passes, a breathtakingly vibrant pink sunset briefly illuminates the sky. With temperatures dropping rapidly, I huddle inside my dark, leaky makeshift grass shelter. Fierce lightning repeatedly cracks the night sky as cold rain continues pouring down. The miserable conditions leave us very damp, freezing, and anxiously waiting for dawn. Morning finally breaks, revealing the frustrating aftermath of a thoroughly wet, restless night. Tempers slightly flare as some boys realize their sleeping gear was carelessly soaked. Incredibly, the resilient older generation slept right on the muddy ground without complaining. Their lifelong exposure to these brutal elements has forged an almost superhuman endurance. Trying to warm up by the fire, we quickly pivot our hunting strategy. We eagerly set out again, hoping the rain-soft and earth makes tracking much easier. Our optimism is immediately rewarded when we spot incredibly fresh, deep hoof prints. These clear tracks lead straight into nearby fields where wild pigs steal crops. The trackers confirm the animal passed through here just moments before we arrived. Our hunting pace frantically quickens as we close the distance on the target. Navigating this steep, slippery terrain demands complete focus to avoid twisting an ankle. Exhaustion firmly takes hold of me, but the determined tribe simply pushes forward. I carefully crawl through the agonizing thorns, desperate to keep up with them. But the cunning pig escapes, leaving us with only a tiny field mouse. Defeated and completely drained, we begin the long, quiet march back to camp. The men passionately discuss the failed ambush, analyzing every mistake for tomorrow's attempt. Even the struggling dung beetle embodies the savannah's relentless, unyielding spirit of survival. Undeterred by today's harsh failures, the youngest hunters immediately prepare to try again. The young hunters supplement their meager diet by foraging for small, tart wild berries. Back at the village, a weary mother dog carefully nurses her new litter of pups. Meanwhile, the children continuously practice aiming their bows into the dense overhead canopy. We reflect on the day's harsh challenges while making our long trek back to camp. As the evening approaches, we finally find a moment to rest our exhausted bodies. The darkness settles in completely, prompting the tribe to quickly spark a warm campfire. Gathered around the comforting flames, everyone shares lighthearted stories under a brilliant starry sky. A brand new dawn quickly arrives, signaling the beginning of our final crucial hunting day. We sip warm tea while the locals ingeniously use chewed branches to clean their teeth. One hunter proudly explains how his deep facial scars stopped his childhood tears forever. Our ultimate mission today requires navigating through this vast, heavily wooded ancient landscape. We prepare to hike aggressively into the steep mountains alongside their eager hunting dogs. The grueling incline immediately tests our endurance as we desperately try keeping their pace. We are forced to violently crash through some of the thickest, most unforgiving thorny brush. A senior hunter pauses, explaining that elusive wild pigs remain their absolute favorite meal. Reaching a high vantage point, we carefully scan the sprawling green valley below us. The brutal climb eventually forces us to sit down and catch our burning breath. Finding completely empty trails, we cautiously begin our steep descent back toward the plains. Along the way, we sample a cluster of strangely sweet wild yellow berries. The older men recall a time when larger game was incredibly abundant and easy. Now they must constantly walk countless miles, sometimes returning entirely empty-handed and hungry. To lift their spirits, I introduce them to a massive bottle of Canadian maple syrup. They eagerly accept the strange gift, absolutely amazed by its intense, honey-like sweetness. Laughter quickly erupts as the precious sugary liquid is happily passed among the younger boys. They savor every drop, treating this foreign syrup like a rare, luxurious energy boost. Even the women take turns enjoying the treat before we hand out some modern supplies. We distribute soft sleeping pads, offering a small token of gratitude for their incredible hospitality. Despite these foreign gifts, their pure dedication to this traditional lifestyle remains entirely unshaken. Their remarkable ability to endure extreme daily hardship with a simple smile is deeply inspiring. Looking across their modest settlement, I realize how perfectly adapted they are to this environment. While the men rest, the resilient women continue digging tirelessly for essential starchy roots. Another exhausting day finally concludes as the entire tribe slowly marches back home together. The heavy twilight shadows quickly swallow the vast landscape, bringing a sudden, peaceful silence. These massive ancient trees stand as silent witnesses to their beautiful, unbroken way of life. The following morning, we reluctantly pack our heavy gear to leave this ancient world behind. The hunters confidently assure us they will always find a way to survive and thrive. We walk away profoundly humbled by the raw, beautiful simplicity of their ancient existence. Our rugged vehicle rumbles to life, carrying us far away from this incredible hidden valley. As we disappear into the bush, their timeless wilderness slowly fades into the distance. A lone survivor washes ashore on a seemingly deserted tropical island. Wasting no time, he immediately ventures into the dense jungle to explore. Finding a stagnant pool of muddy water reveals the harsh reality of his situation. The lush environment looks beautiful from above, but hides many unseen challenges. He soon stumbles upon an old, rusting shipwreck stranded silently on the shore. Knowing he needs sustenance, he grabs a stick and continues scanning the coast. To quench his growing thirst, he bravely scales a tall palm tree. The fresh coconut water provides a much-needed boost of vital energy. While planning his next move, he spots scattered plastic waste along the shoreline. Though a sad sight, these discarded bottles will perfectly store his drinking water. He carefully inspects the plastic containers to ensure they hold liquid safely. Satisfied with his find, he now secures a reliable way to carry hydration. He then looks around the nearby tree line to locate a safe campsite. After picking a spot, he unpacks his limited but crucial survival gear. His supplies include a medical kit, a drone, and some camera equipment. He also brought along diving flippers and a Hawaiian sling for fishing. Explaining his strategy, he plans to rely on a hammock to sleep comfortably. A small pillow and a simple bed sheet will offer some nighttime warmth. He even packed a little coffee powder as a rare luxury for tough mornings. A custom-made spear gun lies ready for when he hunts in the ocean. Now he faces the daunting task of building a sturdy protective shelter. But first, he must filter the muddy jungle water using a specialized straw. The murky liquid looks unappetizing, but it is absolutely necessary for his survival. Returning to camp, he easily sets up his hammock between two strong trees. He intends to construct a thick leafy roof overhead to block the rains. Taking a brief break, he enjoys his first makeshift coconut coffee. Refueled and focused, he heads deep into the jungle to harvest structural branches. Avoiding giant spiders, he meticulously cuts down sturdy wood to form the frame. Testing a hanging tree vine, he quickly finds it too brittle for cordage. He realizes that ground vines will serve as much stronger, reliable ropes. With enough materials gathered, he hauls them back toward the sandy shore. He creatively attempts to siphon cleaner water using a hollow piece of vine. The sky slowly begins to darken, signaling the fast approach of evening. He hurries to collect large palm fronds to thatch his shelter's new roof. As storm clouds gather, he takes another refreshing sip of sweet coconut juice. The isolated island looks both beautiful and intimidating under the fading twilight sky. Working into the night, he secures the final fronds over his wooden frame. Though exhausted, he feels a sense of accomplishment sitting beneath the basic roof. His next major challenges will be starting a fire and finding solid food. He knows relying solely on the muddy water filter is a risky gamble. A fire is absolutely crucial, so he resolves to build one by morning. Suddenly, a strange rustling noise from the pitch-black jungle catches his attention. He nervously scans the shadows, wondering what wild creature might be lurking nearby. Heavy rain starts to pour, forcing him to quickly change into dry clothes. He eagerly collects the fresh rain dripping directly from the leaves to drink. The storm eventually passes, bringing a calm and damp morning to the island. He notes that filtering water through the vine didn't work as well as expected. Taking a break, he briefly explains the difficulties of staying connected while traveling. He recalls how he managed his internet connection during his long airport layovers. Using a digital app made his international data setup completely hassle-free and cheap. This simple application allowed him to effortlessly stay online across multiple different countries. He highly recommends the convenient service to anyone embarking on similar global adventures. Returning to the present moment, he focuses his mind back on island survival. The coastal wind picks up, he happily opens another fresh morning coconut. He carefully pours the remaining dirty water into a makeshift plastic bottle filter. He scoops out the white coconut meat, savoring his first bite of solid food. Energized, he completely reinforces the leafy roof of his shelter from the inside. The woven palm fronds surprisingly manage to block out the harsh tropical sunlight. He gathers more fallen coconuts, heavily stocking up his vital food and water reserves. Carrying a massive piece of driftwood, he heads straight back to his camp. He begins aggressively chopping the large bamboo stalk to make a fire saw. Splitting the bamboo, he prepares the friction mechanism needed to generate intense heat. He carefully scrapes dry fibers to act as tinder for the precious ember. Pushing through the exhaustion, he rubs the bamboo back and forth furiously. The friction finally pays off, creating a tiny glowing ember in the groove. As the sun dips below the horizon, his tiring physical efforts bear fruit. He peacefully celebrates the dying light with another sip of sweet coconut juice. Gently blowing on the smoking tinder bundle, he easily coaxed it into flame. The dry fibers quickly burst into a bright fire, illuminating the dark campsite. Having a warm campfire completely transforms the chilling atmosphere of his lonely shelter. The bright moon rises over the ocean as the fire crackles reassuringly nearby. Later, he cautiously ventures out with his headlamp to investigate another rustling sound. Unable to find the hidden source, he happily retreats back to the fire. The next morning, he wakes up feeling quite dehydrated and a bit sluggish. He forces down more muddy water using his reliable but slow survival straw. To improve the taste, he builds a better filter using crushed campfire charcoal. He slowly pours the murky liquid through the charcoal and sand filtering layers. To be completely safe, he boils the newly filtered water over his morning fire. With clean water finally secured, he turns his attention to finding real meat. He hydrates fully, properly preparing his body for an active day of hunting. Sitting in his hammock, he mentally prepares for the challenge of catching fish. He plans to rely heavily on the rich reefs surrounding the rocky island. Armed with his fishing gear, he marches down the shoreline toward the waves. He carefully navigates over slippery coastal driftwood to reach a good casting spot. He casts his baited handline into the clear turquoise water below the cliff. After some unsuccessful time, he decides to explore another section of the coast. Deep in the jungle, he discovers a massive sand mound built by a bird. He knows these strange mounds contain large eggs, a great potential protein source. Suddenly, he spots a wild pig quietly roaming through the dense undergrowth nearby. Realizing the potential danger, he quietly retreats back to the safety of the beach. Leaving the jungle behind, he returns to the calm shores of the lagoon. On the rocks, he finds a massive empty lobster shell that washed ashore. Highly encouraged by this sign of sea life, he readies his heavy spear gun. Plunging into the water, he quickly spears a beautiful fish among the coral. The vibrant underwater shipwreck proves to be a generous hunting ground for him. He happily lays his to catches on a rock, thrilled to finally have meat. He recounts a terrifying moment when a huge wave slammed him against the wreck. Back at camp, he repurposes a flat piece of driftwood into a cutting board. He gathers large green leaves, eagerly preparing to cook his hard-earned seafood feast. He softly blows life back into the coals, getting the campfire extremely hot. While waiting for the fish to cook, he drinks more refreshing coconut water. Sitting in his hammock, he skillfully unwraps the perfectly steamed fish fillet. The coastal breeze continues to blow as he fully digests his amazing lunch. With a full stomach, he decides to practice his archery skills on the beach. He confidently draws the bowstring back, aiming at a makeshift target in the sand. As the long day winds down, he finally allows himself to deeply relax. He takes one last stroll along the beach, bow in hand, always staying vigilant. He contemplates returning to the bird mound, knowing wild survival is a daily challenge. To increase his chances of a meal, he sets up a simple dangling bait hook. With the trap set, he takes in the stunning view of the isolated island. As evening approaches, he stretches on the beach and admires the beautiful sunset. He sits by his bow, enjoying the peacefulness before night completely falls. But the peace is interrupted when a huge flock of bats flies overhead. Armed with a flashlight, he ventures into the night to hunt for coconut crabs. While searching, he recounts a crazy rumor about Amelia Earhart's mysterious disappearance. Legend says she might have been eaten by giant crabs right on this island. Hoping to test the scary myth, he scours the dark jungle floor for movement. Finding no crabs, he checks his dangling trap, only to find nothing there. Empty-handed, he returns to camp to rest by his warm, comforting campfire. He reflects on his food situation, feeling incredibly grateful for his earlier catch. However, his calm evening is soon threatened by an ominously dark, cloudy sky. Realizing a heavy storm is coming, he stares anxiously at the clouds rolling in. He quickly rushes into his palm frond shelter just before the heavy downpour begins. The rain beats down violently, but his sturdy leaf roof keeps him perfectly dry. He huddles inside the small space, exhausted from the weather and lack of sleep. He steps out briefly to check his gear, getting completely drenched in seconds. After securing his soaked hammock, he retreats back inside to try and get some sleep. He finally dozes off, only to wake up to a beautifully painted dawn sky. The storm passes, allowing him to fix his shelter and relax in his hammock. He feels completely drained after another brutal, restless night on the remote island. Luckily, the severe storm allowed him to collect several bottles of fresh rainwater. He rehydrates and admires a colorful kingfisher resting peacefully in the lush canopy. With renewed energy, he proudly shows off a primitive speargun crafted by the locals. This simple weapon, made of scrap metal and rubber, is his best hope for food. Eager to test it, he wades into the crystal-clear ocean to go spearfishing. He navigates the rocky shallows, keeping a sharp eye out for any targets. With a swift, precise shot, he successfully spears a colorful little reef fish. He proudly carries his fresh catch back to camp, ready to prepare a meal. He carefully cleans the fish and wraps it in green leaves to cook. After eating, he grabs his bow and heads deeper into the dense, green jungle. He is determined to hunt down the wild pigs that roam these deep woods. After hours of careful searching, he finds no sign of the elusive animals. Frustrated, he returns to camp, only to spot a large wild pig roaming nearby. He quickly grabs his bow and carefully aims at the unsuspecting animal on the beach. But as he prepares to shoot, he hesitates, noticing something that holds him back. He realizes it's a mother pig with tiny piglets and compassionately decides to spare her. His hunt is cut short as another sudden, heavy rainstorm rolls over the island. He watches the downpour from his shelter and seizes the chance to collect water. He meticulously fills multiple plastic bottles to ensure he stays well hydrated. That night, he enjoys the warmth and comfort of a blazing campfire by his shelter. The fire keeps the chill away while he listens to the dark, crashing waves. He spots small rats and roaming pigs stealing the coconut bait he set out earlier. Annoyed but fascinated by the local nightlife, he heads back to his hammock. He rests under the cloudy moonlight, hoping for a much better day tomorrow. The next morning, he relights the fire and prepares for a new fishing trip. He plans to hike across the island to explore a nearby rusty shipwreck. On his way, he shares a bizarre, fictional story about mutant Nazi pigs. According to his wild tale, these intelligent pigs mutinied during World War II. Led by a fierce pig named Sir Francis Bacon, they became dangerous pirates. Their reign of terror ended when a massive storm crashed their ship here. Stranded, they became the ancestors of the wild pigs now roaming the island. He finishes his silly story just as he arrives at the real shipwreck. He prepares his speargun and dives into the water near the sunken ruins. Unfortunately, a rubber band snaps, forcing him to use a weaker hand spear. Despite the setback, he explores a dark sea cave looking for a decent catch. The eerie cave is mostly empty, offering no easy meals for the tired survivor. Disappointed, he rests inside before heading back out to the sunlit beach. Walking along the shore, he admires the vibrant flowers and towering palm trees. He manages to catch a few small fish and cleans them for his lunch. He wraps them in leaves and cooks them slowly over the hot coals. While a curious piglet watches, he hauls a massive log to keep his fire going. He prepares for another potentially rainy night as dark clouds gather on the horizon. Resting in his hammock, he talks about meeting a friendly local fisherman earlier today. The local fisherman promised to take him out lobster hunting the following evening. He eagerly anticipates the chance to catch and eat some giant Pacific lobsters. The fire burns steadily through the night, keeping his small shelter surprisingly warm. He wakes up to his final full day on the island under a cloudy sky. He drinks fresh coconut water, soaking in the peaceful morning atmosphere of the island. He takes some time to practice his archery, shooting arrows into the thick trees. Later, he dives into the ocean and spears another small, unfulfilling fish. Eating the meager catch, he desperately hopes the upcoming lobster hunt will be successful. He sits by the shore, patiently waiting for his local fisherman friend to arrive. To pass the time, he tries to fix his spear, but accidentally breaks it further. Frustrated by the broken gear, he watches the sun begin to set beautifully. Just as it gets dark, the local fishermen finally arrive in their small boat. Before heading out, a young island boy effortlessly scales a massive coconut tree. He watches in absolute awe as the boy quickly retrieves several fresh green coconuts. Grateful for the gift, he happily drinks the sweet, refreshing coconut water. As night completely falls, he sits around a cozy campfire with his new friends. Armed with flashlights, the group wades out into the pitch-black ocean waters. They dive beneath the surface, scanning the coral reefs for hidden lobsters. He points his light into a deep crevice, searching for the prized catch. With incredible luck, he manages to spear a massive, beautiful Pacific lobster. He emerges from the water, celebrating his amazing catch under the night sky. Back at the boat, the locals admire the impressive size of the caught lobster. He proudly displays his prized catch, calling it the highlight of his whole trip. He cooks the giant lobster perfectly over the hot, glowing campfire coals. He pairs the delicious, buttery meat with fresh strips of coconut jelly. He takes a bite, overwhelmed by the incredible flavor after days of hunger. While eating, he shares the true story behind the shipwreck in the bay. He explains how a powerful storm drove the fishing vessel onto the rocks. He laughs, admitting his tale about mutant Nazi pigs was entirely made up. Full and happy, he finally settles in for a peaceful night's sleep.